Women of Reddit. Have you ever had a run-in with an incel? If so, what happened? Met one in college. He seemed normal at the time, although we rarely talked. Had literally one class together. He friend requested me on Facebook and I accepted. Soon after he asked me out *on Facebook and I rejected him. He started staring at me in the one class we had together and followed me around a lot. One day I got a text from my mom telling me I should check my Facebook. I maybe looked at it once a day at the time. He had commented on every single post I made, every picture, anything on my wall. Literally everything he could. Every comment was different too. But awesome variation of how I'm a slut. How all I'm good for is to please a man and produce his offspring, if he finds me worthy. He planned it out well because the semester ended the week before. Which was good for me I guess. Didn't have to see him anymore. I blocked him then deleted my Facebook. I was rarely using it anyway. He put so much effort into those comments. Hundreds of them. Just weird. I started chatting with him on Tinder. About an hour later I run into a friend of mine, and we decide to grab a beer together. I tell the guy cause I was still chatting with him and he explodes. Goes on a huge rant about how, if I have a straight male friend I should just sleep with him then since the only reason a straight single man would be friends with a girl is to sleep with her. Also that if we were dating he'd never let me have male friends cause they'd just want to sleep with me. Noped out of that one pretty fast. Rejected him twice and resulted in months of stalking and harassment which still has not ended. Hopefully it will soon. Had a couple of his friends ping me on Discord to tell me about his little misogynistic rants he'd go on about how women are only useful for their holes. The normal stuff. Also, raided my Discord server 3 times. Edit, I'm putting this here because I'd like to respond to everyone but I can't keep up with all the responses. So here's a few more details. This isn't the first time he's done this to someone. He pulled the same shit with my friend, and it lasted for 3 whole years and only stopped when she punched him in the face and she got in trouble. That's why I decided I wasn't going to deal with that and go to the school. I would go to the police like so many people have suggested, but the cops in my area are not great. I had a situation where I was sexually abused last year and my abuser didn't even get suspended from school. He still got underage pics of me in my phone and the cops did nothing. And I'm a minor and I'd rather not involve my parents, since in order to involve them, they'd have to read all the evidence and screenshots and a major thing he used against me was the fact I'm transgender, FTM, and bisexual and I don't want to out myself, since I live in a very conservative, homophobic area. I went on a date with one about 6 months ago. It was so uncomfortable. He was asking me what I was looking for in a relationship. And the conversation went something like this. M represents me. And D will represent him. D, so. Do you know what you're looking for? M, I'm new to the state. So I think that for now I just want to go out a bit and meet new people. I'm the commitment type, though. And I'm not at all opposed to finding something serious. What about you? D, well. I don't really think I want a girlfriend. You know? I don't want to feel smothered. I mean, sex is nice. Of course. But I just like hooking up. I hooked up with some girls this summer and the sex was fun. We just fucked. No dating. Yeah. I'm not really the hookup type. I feel like healthy relationships are pretty balanced and no one needs to feel smothered. But I can see how going out with no strings attached could be a good time. D, yeah. I really just like sex. Like any other dude. Yeah no, I don't need a girlfriend. Of course. There are the times that I see a stupid couple holding hands and being all cute. And that makes me mad. Of course. I don't like seeing it flaunted like that. I kind of froze at that point. It's difficult to explain the tone of voice he used when he said that last thing. But it made me uneasy. I could see the anger/hatred in his eyes and he went from casually conversing to seriously mad. And he kept saying of course. Like everyone felt the same way. Or like he was trying to gauge if I felt similarly. Needless to say, I never went out with a guy again. I met my now boyfriend 2 days later, and we've run into D together while on campus. D and I go to college together. Every time, D glares at me and shoots my boyfriend dirty looks. Edit. I realized that he said he was fucking girls, which would make him not an incel by definition. But he seemed to be lying about the sex. And the way that he spoke about his anger toward couples/women with boyfriends made it really clear that he had an At some point he decided he wanted to try to get a girlfriend and figured out my timetable at uni and would follow me around between classes. I told him I wasn't interested. Then he did the same thing with my friend. And within a few weeks he was trying it with basically all the girls from my year, from waiting them up after class to sending them a lot of messages through FB. We were all very aware of what he was trying to do, and it became a bit of a joke. I guess he thought, if you just try it enough it'll work eventually, which it might. If it wasn't for the creepy stalking and awkward approach. And you know, trying it with all the women at the same time lol. After that he decided all women were bad for choosing assholes over a nice guy like him. But he must be dead by now, probably due to the insane amount of salt I always saw him put on his food during lunch. I'm talking about a small pile of salt he put on his apple each time before taking a bite. As if he wasn't salty enough already lol. Yeah, I thought he was a sweetheart. Talked to him for about 2 months. I was starting to like him. But I was too stressed to start anything up yet. I wanted to wait a little while. After nicely rejecting him, but telling him that I do like him, he turned apeshit on me. A side of him I had never seen. Or his true self. I don't know. But the shit that came out of his goddamn mouth. My god. It was the usual a shallow bitch etc. He said sexism in the workplace wasn't real. Then proceeded to give an example of a person being denied a role because of their gender. Women aren't discriminated against in the workforce. We had a lady put in her resume at our construction company and the workers wanted to hire her, but the boss didn't end up hiring her because his wife would be jealous. Yeah, the cognitive dissonance hurt my head. Let's face it, as guys, we've had that one friend in the group who was an incel. Bitchy, Winnie, starting fights over a girl, can't get a GF, cock bloker, and fucker upper of the party when girls are around. And the only reason he's tolerated is because he's the brother/cousin of your core group. We hate incels as much as the girls. Not an incel, but I was approached by a red pill pickup artist in Melbourne when I was visiting there in November last year. I'm sorry if this story comes across a bit r/fathappened. It is not made up at all. This guy came up to me on the street one afternoon and asked me if I knew how to color coordinate my clothes. I was wearing red docs, blue jeans and a green jumper, not the best outfit. Sure. I was living out of a backpack. We started taking, and I realized he was a pickup artist. And he was pretty good at it, too. Charismatic and skilled at negging. Plus decent looking emo. It was almost a shame that he was repeating direct quotes from r/vidpill that I'd read the previous evening. Little side note, I was completely fascinated by TRP for a long time. I know every single trick in the literal handbook. Some of it is really awesome advice, how to be confident and stand your ground. I gained respect at work and developed a better relationship with myself and others through some of their advice. Most of it, though, is misogynistic and unhealthy. If you can detach yourself from it successfully, it's well worth a browse. Back to the story. I kept talking to this guy and just demolished his whole plan of attack. I literally watched the spark and charm he had fade away as he wasn't met with the meekness he was expecting. The things he said to me I deflected with the same tactics he had read to use himself. I led the conversation. Turned it back onto him. Got him talking. His whole frame, as they call it, fell apart. He started stumbling over words. Getting caught on his attempts to neg me. I asked him at the end why he does it at all. And he said he wasn't sure. That he wanted to have a family and have kids one day. I told him I knew where he was getting the techniques from and that. Yep. They *work*. Maybe on me, too. If I didn't know them back to front. But they were taking him on a really hard path. And a path that often leads to / coincides with being an incel. He asked for my number again. I declined and we shook hands and he said, "This has been refreshing. Tom. I hope you read this. I hope you've escaped." I met a guy online who turned out to be an incel. We chatted casually for maybe a month. Nothing sexual. Just friendship as we had a hobby in common we were discussing. One day he asked me to check his dating profile for him, hoping that a woman's perspective would tell him why he wasn't getting any messages. I didn't mind as he'd been polite up until this point. But I didn't read that this was his way of flirting with me. I just told him his bio was far too long. It was the longest profile on a dating website I'd ever seen. It would have been pages and pages of paragraphs if you printed it out. I just said it's easier to read if you shorten it and make it about the lasting impression you want a woman to have of you. And I sent him an example since I knew about his hobbies. I just wrote something like, "I like philosophy, debating and discussing psychology," and leave it at that instead of discussing every topic in detail and what you like and don't like about them. Also, his page was filled with more negatives than positives. Paragraphs upon paragraphs about what he found unattractive in women. His standards were ridiculously high. They couldn't have had any previous relationships. No tattoos. Can't be into hobbies he doesn't like. He accused anyone who didn't like his hobbies of being stupid, and he thought other people were all vapid and shallow for only caring about looks. Also, he required a woman to have a very specific body and face type. When I told him maybe he should cut this part out and stick to what traits he likes in a woman, he suddenly flipped. Out of nowhere. He'd shown no sign of craziness before he asked me about his dating profile. Suddenly he starts ranting about how women don't want him, but he's a catch. And if I wasn't such a bitch, I wouldn't be single. And he could show me a good time if I learned to be more passive and not speak my mind as much. I told him to calm down and he wouldn't. He sent me pages and pages and pages of hateful, venomous messages about hating women for not seeing how intelligent and insightful he was and how I would be single forever if I didn't take his offer to date him because he could improve me by making me more alluring to other men. I tried to give him another chance, but my message was drowned out by the paragraphs he sent me over the course of a few hours. So I blocked him on Skype and his original account that we spoke on another platform disappeared the very next day. Never heard of him. Worked at a very common thrift store for about a month. In that span of time I had 3 coworkers follow me home, and another 2 repeatedly ask me to sleep with them, and demand I at least send them nude pictures, since I wasted their time. Told me he could please me more than my husband does, and treat me in a way that would make me feel like a woman for a change. I actually said, "Oh, no thank you." Because I guess being polite and super proper was a priority for me in that moment. Lol. This was freshman year of high school, and I swear I have about 100 stories on this one boy. Let's call him Blue, because his hair used to be blue. So I first met Blue on a bus ride to a field trip where we were visiting a local college to go through a practice course. He and I were both put into the computer programming course. So we spent the whole day together. He seemed like a pretty chill dude. So I invited him to come hang out with my friends at the football game that night. No big deal. Right? Well, he arrives and jokes about how he told his parents we were on a date. I cut him off right there and clarify I invited him to hang out. I did not ask him on a date. He shrugs and continues the story. His father apparently asked if he should bring condoms and his mom asked if I was spending the night. Ooh, okay, now this feels awkward. I emphasized once again we were not in a relationship. I did not ask him out. And nothing was happening tonight. He agreed. So a small bump in the road. But I still don't feel comfortable around him. To get away for a bit, I offer to go wait in line for snacks while everyone else watches the game. He offers to go with me to keep me safe. Yeah. No. I try to talk one of my girlfriends into helping me leave alone. But she thinks he's cute for me and tells us both to go. Yay. So he and I are walking to the snack bar. My friends money in hand, they were paying for their own snacks. I was just going to wait for them, and he's following. As we get close to the stand, a cute girl walks by, and he very obviously checks her out. I honestly don't care. But it's what he says that made me cringe. Damn. I'd rate that as I immediately go off on him. That's not funny. That he's a high schooler and should know better. That some jokes are funny but that's a bit far. He is shocked saying, "What? I'd rape you first." Apparently he thought I was jealous or something. I give him the money and tell him to order for our friends. I'm leaving. He keeps trying to get me to stay, but I'm just done. He then OFFERS to drive me home. Which is a big hell no at this point. You just made a joke about RAPINGME I'm not having you drive me home alone after that. Exclamation mark. It gets worse. For about a month, he would follow me to my gym class, wait for me to walk into the girls' locker room, and then go to his class. After I realized this was a common occurrence, I talked to a mutual friend of ours, and then it stopped. Don't have confirmation, but I'm assuming our mutual friend, let's call him Pink for his fav color, told Blue I knew and he stopped. Skip to sophomore year, when us three are all in a club together. Pink keeps trying to set me and Blue up together, and it's making me really uncomfortable. Blue and I are in a different club together where I compete, and he is taking pictures for the yearbook. Turns out almost all the pictures he took were of me. Creepy. What was weird was he found a crappy homemade ring in the hallways apparently, with a heart charm as the charm of the ring. He snuck it in my bag with a note of "just thinking of you," and it just weirded me out. This was when I decided, okay, so we just can't be friends. So I cut myself off from him, but not from everyone else in our group. Meet Black, a kind of emo chick I used to be friends with and at one point dated Blue. She came over to my house to hang out, and he texted her 52 times and called 7 times in the span of the 3 hours we hung out. Because apparently Blue didn't trust me, they broke up later when he came out as gay. Weird. Literally a day later he comes up to me and asks me out. I ask him, I thought he was gay. Nope. Apparently that was his excuse to break up with Black, and he blew up her phone in hopes that I would be the one to pick up the line. Dude. Then I moved at the end of sophomore year. I was finally going to be away from Blue, or so I thought. Though I still liked Pink and Black. Those friendships disintegrated when I stopped hanging out with Blue because they sided with Blue. Whatever. Like I care. Because I moved I made it so he couldn't contact me at all. Blocked his account on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, everything I could. Kept his number in my phone, but named it "don't answer" so I'd know it was him. I thought I was rid of him. Cut to January. At this point I haven't seen them for 8 months. The asshole hacked into my Facebook hoping I wouldn't notice. For a solid hour I was in a relationship with him. He was unblocked, and he had posted a picture of him on my account, titled "I love my honey?" Like WTF? Question mark? Gladly this was late at night, and I was up studying. So I had gotten an email about logging into a new device on my phone. Instantly changed everything back. Deleted and cleared everything. And changed my password on everything. I was not about to have this happen on another account. Is this an incel? Or just a stalker? Or a creep? Whatever he's categorized as. It's fucking creepy. He never did the classic breakdown at being rejected. I'm not sure if the guy was an incel. This was over a decade ago now, I think. But, at the very least, he was pretty convinced that women were the issue. The issue was that he was obese and unwashed and looked exactly the way you think an incel would. We got along very well, and I tried to get past all that. But you can't force attraction. Basically, we hung out alone once, and it was pretty much a disaster. Awkward. Uncomfortable. Smelly. And YA. After that, I tried to diplomatically let him down. He basically told me I was a slut. Tried to rake my name through the mud. And cut me out of his life. So, yeah. Pretty much a pain by number.